you're going to need a fork and a knife. This is Deep Dishing Sports with Bruce and Eli.
Where do you want to start? Bruce, what were your thoughts on this game versus the Bears? Let's get your overall thoughts, and then we'll break down the specifics of this.
It was a very frustrating game. And the reason why I say frustrating is because these games, like, it's not going to be a game this season. It might be one just because it's just the way the NFL is. But I just don't see this Bears team ever getting blown out of a game. Like, each game should be winnable because of the talent that you have on your team, both offensively and defensively, because it's talent on the offense. I just don't understand. Like, I watched that game yesterday, and look, shout out to the Indianapolis Colts defense. I probably can name you two legit, like, superstars on that team: DeForest Buckner and the linebacker. What's my guy name? He got injured too.
Darius. Is it Darius
Leonard? Yeah.
Well, they also have Justin Houston, who played a damn good game.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not.
He's older.
Yeah. I mean, Justin Houston. Okay, all right. I'll give you that one. I give you 3. All right. But that defense, you know, that wasn't no Baltimore Ravens, you know, championship Chicago Bears of 2 years ago type defense.
Yeah.
You know, so the game was winnable. And once again, our coach,
Oh man,
I said that so much. You know, do you want to know how mad he got me yesterday? It was very hard for me to tweet yesterday. Like,
I noticed you weren't tweeting a whole lot. So I was
bro,
like,
me and you know, oh my God, like, it was a moment where I wanted Coach Nagy to catch COVID. Like, that's when I knew. I said, Father God, I need your light in me right now. I said, I hope he takes that stupid mask off his face and somebody just hit him with the COVID.
Hit him with the COVID.
That's when I knew. That's when I knew that I just couldn't take anymore, man. Because it was winnable. Again, all jokes aside, the game was winnable, and that's what frustrates me.
Let's start with Nick Foles. Let's start with the first official full game of Nick Foles. The first official time that we were supposed to see Matt Nagy's offense in full effect.
Right.
In this game.
Right.
So he was 26 of 42. That's 62%. He had 249 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, passer rating of 76.4. And yeah, Nick Foles looked terrible. I mean, there's no other way to put it. The only positive that I could maybe spin on it is you could really tell the difference in his speed in, like, reading defenses and reading and reacting and just getting the ball out between, or I guess in comparison to him and Mitch. You could really tell that. But I mean, it didn't matter anyway because his throws were so inaccurate that it was just like he couldn't get any ball to any receiver throughout most of the game. And his completion percentage was 62%, but 20 of his 26 completions were less than 10 yards. So, I mean, that's not very hard to do. I mean, me and you can probably do that, Bruce.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely could.
But yeah, I mean, I can't give Nick Foles any excuses. I mean, I understand that, you know, he's still in a new offense. He's still getting acclimated to the receivers, to Nagy's offense. There was no OTAs. There was no mini camp. There was no preseason. It's not like Mitch Trubisky, who was in this offense for 3 years.
Right.
To come out and still look lost. It's a little different for Nick Foles, but still, I mean, this game, the thing with Foles, I think he set the bar a little too high. And my brother-in-law Jeremy said that. He was like, yeah, Nick Foles set the bar a little bit too high against Atlanta.
with the Atlanta Falcons, yeah.
And just came crashing down to earth in this game because he was really bad. What were your thoughts on Nick Foles?
Oh man, yeah, it was. He wasn't good. He wasn't good yesterday, but I'm still choosing him over Trubisky for the rest of this season.
Oh yeah.
It only goes to show you, as we stated in some earlier shows, even before the season started, that when you got two quarterbacks that you're not sure of, you really don't have a legit quarterback at all. And I think that's just where the Bears are at. So, you know, you this is one of the things with Foles is that you got to take the good with the bad. And yesterday was bad. Last week was good. And this is just going to be, I believe, the ebbs and flow of what you're going to deal with Nick Foles. He was inaccurate. You know, he has some questionable decision making. He can't. I mean, his mobility is, man, it's
a statue up there.
My God. My grandfather's 89 years old. My grandfather can move probably faster than Nick Foles.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. But, you know, at the same time,
merch plug.
At the same time, again, I'm still choosing him over Mitchell Trubisky just for some of he had that one drive where it ended up in a field goal where you definitely just saw the difference between him and Mitchell Trubisky, as you stated. Just him being able to read defenses, him being able to scan the whole field and then come back to where he needs to, you know, where he needs to get the ball to, you know. But then let's be honest, and I know we'll touch on, you know, the different groups offensively, but he got no help from his running game. He got no help from his offensive line. He definitely got no help from wide receivers, specifically Anthony Miller, who if we've had it up to here with Mitchell Trubisky, I'm almost there with Anthony Miller.
Same.
And I've been pulling for that dude. But his consistency is, you're in this, year 3?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Year three. And the interception, okay, Nick Foles was a little bit accurate, but you're an NFL receiver.
Right.
You need to make those type of plays.
He's supposed
I
to be
expect
a number
those
two.
plays for him.
He's supposed to be a number 2.
Stop it.
Your number 2 wide receiver should be making those catches. Like,
well,
but then that goes to ask the question that I asked on Twitter. I was like, is Anthony Miller a number 2 wide receiver? Serious question. Like,
no.
Is he a number 2 wideout?
No, too inconsistent.
Yeah,
inconsistent. He makes me want to take a number 2 watching him. That was a little graphic. I'm sorry for all our listeners and watchers.
TMI.
Yeah, that was a little bit too much.
That was well played, though. That was well played.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah. No, I agree. But let's talk about Matt Nagy. Nagy. Because I called it. Editing Eli, go back and play the clip that I said last week. See how different this offense looks with Nick Foles next week. The one thing, though, and I said this yesterday on Brags in the Stands, but the one thing that I really don't want is for Matt Nagy to see that he has a more competent quarterback and then get pass happy. Don't want that. Matt Nagy needs to stick to his guns that he stuck to in the beginning of the season. Keep running the football. Keep giving it to 32. Because I literally said that the key for the Bears going forward was Matt Nagy. Going forward with Nick Foles was Matt Nagy and how he was going to react with Nick Foles as the quarterback. Was he going to stick to his guns, stick to the creative, 2 tight end sets with the fullback, run the football down the team's throat, then go off play action? Was he going to stick to that? Or was he going to go back to 2019? Running the ball a couple times, see it doesn't work, goes away from it, gets a bunch of empty sets, a bunch of lateral throws, wide receiver screens that was really weird. He ran it with Cordell Patterson on a 3rd and 1. Like, yeah, it was literally 2019 Nagy all over again in terms of play calling and just questionable personnel and just all kinds of stuff. But what were your, I know you have a lot to say about Manek. So what were your thoughts?
His tendencies are just becoming too predictable. And that's just the most, that's frustrating, man. Like the set, it's this one set where I wanted to just kick my TV because I've seen it so many times where they'll line up like a 3 tight end, 1 wide receiver set, and it's usually on first down. It's usually like the first play of the game. You got the offensive line, then you got 3 tight ends, and it's just, and then they'll just hand the ball off and nothing happened. They ran that play at least maybe 5 times yesterday, and I'm like, they tried to bootleg out of it once and the ball got thrown to Demetri Harris, and I was like, oh my God. And I was just like, the play calling has just become too predictable. There's no creativity, there's no consistency, there's no rhythm. They looked so just no rhythm. And as a coach, and you know me, I'm a big like, okay, let's not put it all on the coach. Let's give some of the blame to the players who's actually on the field. That's me. I'm that dude. But yesterday, man, I was just like, Coach Nagy, do you have anything on that dumb playbook that you hold up to your face and you always writing on it like you creating another dang on play? Like, do you have anything on that playbook that could get this team in a rhythm? And the answer was no, because it just seemed like we was running the same plays.
Yeah.
Why are you bootlegging? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead, bro. Go rant.
No, like,
please.
why? What's with the? It's hard to establish. Like Houston. I mean, I'm sorry. The Colts. They were laughing in the huddle every time they tried to bootleg or they tried to play action. You have no running game. Why are you play at? What do you think? You think that's gonna work? And you just got poor Nick Foles just sitting back there. He know he can't run, and he's just patting the ball. Okay. Let me get this little check down. 2 yards, 5 yards.
Yeah, it was definitely
3 yards.
It was definitely check down Sunday yesterday for Nick. But yeah, you mentioned rhythm, and that's the perfect word for this offense, because I saw a stat and I forgot to write it in my notes, but it said something about the Bears have run over 100 unique personnel type plays, and it's second most in the league. And you wonder why guys like David Montgomery can't get going, Cordero Patterson can't really get going on anything, Anthony Miller is can't get going in a rhythm. Like, these dudes can't get going in a rhythm because Matt Nagy just keeps switching out personnel constantly. I mean, you see it in the game. Literally, the example that I gave on that 3rd and 1 to Cordero Patterson. Why are you running it with Cordero Patterson on a 3rd and 1? Put your best personnel out on the field and run some damn plays to get a rhythm. Then, once you have a rhythm, then maybe try the cute shit. Then maybe try a jet sweep with Darnell Mooney or Cordero Patterson or someone. Then maybe try and run with Cordero Patterson out of the shotgun or something like that. But get a rhythm first. Then try the cute stuff.
Yeah.
And stop this switching out personnel. You have a running back in David Montgomery who fights for yards. Like, I've the amount of times that I've seen him create yards that should have been nothing has been insane. And the fact that he got 53 snaps, okay? He got 53 snaps in his game. He only had 10 carries.
Yes. Well, part of that is the fact that they were down, right?
Yeah, but there was no reason to panic. They throughout the whole game, they were never down more than 2 scores. There was no reason to get away from the running game besides maybe the 4th quarter.
So let me ask you this. At what point, because this is now me actually defending Matt Nagy. I'm like schizophrenic today, so This is me defending Matt Nagy. At what point do you give up on the running game, or you kind of just like, and the broadcasters, I know one of them was Brian Gumbo and Rich Gannon. They talked about that. At what point do you just scratch the running game when you just see like the offensive line was terrible, created no holes whatsoever for David Montgomery? So at what point do you look at that and you just say, okay, well, this isn't working?
You gotta stick with it. You got to stick with it. Listen. Look at the Indianapolis Colts rushing stats. They had 38 carries, 103 yards, 2.7 yards per carry. Still gave their running backs 38 carries on 2.7 yards per carry.
Yeah, but was part of that because they were actually up in the game? Look, this is the first time that. Oh, let me ask you that. Was part of that because they were winning?
Part of that is also because they have a quarterback that shouldn't be throwing 42 times like Nick Foles did in Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers. He's another.
Phillip Rivers was terrible, but
he was so bad yesterday. And then he wanted to talk trash.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, don't get me started on that clown.
But still,
you gotta.
And I talked about we've been talking about this ever since the end of last year. Was Matt Nagy in implementing a running game, even if it's not working? There's a reason why you run the football. There's a reason why you do it. Even if you're only getting 1.8, 2.7 yards per carry, it's to set up a play action. That has been what has been working through the first 3 games. That's why you were 3-0.
Yeah.
Or a big reason because of it. So even if the run isn't working, even if you're getting 2-3 yards a pop, still do it. Set up the play action and go from there. Like, I know it's not as like, cut down to a science and as simple as that, but it's like when your quarterback is struggling, your offensive line is struggling, you got to do something to slow down the pass rush, do something to tire out the defense, do something to keep your defense off the field.
But what do you do? I mean, you just said it. Like, okay, I get it. Nick Foles was struggling, but if your offensive line is struggling, how can you establish a running game? And this is the first time this season we've talked about this offensive line in terms of not being able to set the blueprint or set the tone for establishing the running game. First game all season, right? So how can you say, well, we need to help the quarterback? The offensive line was terrible yesterday. Terrible in passing and running the ball.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then
I would much rather see us run the ball 30 plus times and lose than have Nick Foles throw the ball 40 plus times and lose. That's it. That to me says that, okay, Matt Nagy's actually changing his ways and actually trying to freaking win football games.
I mean, look, we talked about rhythm earlier, right? The Bears yesterday, they set a season low in total number of plays with 62, offensive plays with 62, and they only had the ball for 27 minutes. 27 minutes and 32 seconds for the entire game.
Right. And
look, David Montgomery, he was on the field. He didn't get the carries that we wanted him. I mean, he was on the field 85%
exactly
of those plays.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I just think the way the game dictated itself from them establishing a running game. We've seen it for the first 3 games. So am I pissed off at Nagy for the predictable play calling it? Yeah. But at the same time, I can't sit here and I'm not about to just, what they say, throw the baby with the bath water in the tub with some salt. Something like that.
Never heard that
throw
one.
The whole baby out the window.
Throw the whole baby.
Something like that. I'm not gonna do that with Nagy because it's been established that the first out of the 4 games we've played, 3 of those games he has set the tone with the running game.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt.
Right. I'm not saying that like oh, this is what we're gonna get going forward, and Matt Nagy is you should just fire him now. I'm not saying that, but like it's frustrating because I called it. It's frustrating because I literally said, I hope Matt Nagy does not go back to 2019 because he has Nick Foles as his quarterback, and that's what he does. That's why it's frustrating.